also following a developing story out of Washington, D.C. over a new proposed $2.2 trillion stimulus plan. Let's get straight out to Ylan Mui with the details there. Good afternoon, Ylan.
Hi, Dom. A source tells me that Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin is likely to make a counter-proposal when he talks to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi tomorrow. Now, the two of them had already spent 50 minutes on the phone today discussing that $2.2 trillion stimulus plan from the Democrats. And so far, there have been some positive signs from both parties. Pelosi has said that she's optimistic, and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said that he is hopeful that progress can be made. Now, the White House had most recently signaled it would be willing to go up to about $1.5 trillion. We'll see if that number changes tomorrow, but there are several areas in which the White House and Democrats do agree. Democrats' bill includes $182 billion for K-12 education. There's also an extension of PPP funding for the hardest hit businesses, as well as $25 billion in aid for the airlines. However, the open questions remain: how much money should be had for unemployment assistance, the funding levels for state and local governments, as well as whether Senate Republicans would be willing to send direct checks to consumers. Those are the line items that will determine whether or not these talks move forward, Dom, or whether they simply fizzle out once more. Back over to you.
All right, Ylan Mui, thank you very much for the latest there on the D.C. deliberations. Try saying that 5 times fast. Thank you very much. So how are stocks hanging on these hopes for a stimulus package? Karen Feinerman, I turn to you for this one. How important is that, the extra money from the government, if it comes to the overall market?
It's gigantic. It's gigantic. And I think that for the market, we had sort of a month ago priced stimulus is near 100%. And then obviously that didn't happen. Now I think the market is pricing, I don't know, something like 10%, 20%. I'm not sure. But if it actually does happen, then I think that's a giant boon for the market.
All right, a giant boom for the market there. Tim Seymour, we've been focused very much on what's happening with COVID-19, the trajectory of the virus, the stimulus package. And then just yesterday, we talked about the fact that it's all awash in liquidity, $90 trillion worth from central banks around the world. How important is this story, given the fact that central banks keep pumping out money?
Well, Karen has emphasized that this is an important story. And I just look at the S&P. I think you have to look at it, once again, relative to where we came from. So we came from absurd levels in August, where the biggest companies in the world had blow-off tops. And then the S&P fell 10%. The triple Qs and NASDAQ 100 fell close to 18%. But the S&P has now rallied back 5%, right back up to that 50-day, which looks like it's probably resistance. I'll let the chart folks take it from here. Simply to say, I think you actually have, in the last 3 or 4 days, priced back in a fair amount of excitement about this $2.2 trillion coming. And it seems obvious that the Dems, going into even the debate tonight, had to drop something in there. So it seems to me that this is a case where the market does need more. We hear this from Fed Powell over and over again. At some point, however, I do think without any real delivery of this, the market is going to struggle. And I think this 50 right now is actually resistance on the market. The Fed, as you pointed out, and I will say all day long, is the ultimate story here and why I think the market has limited downside. But I think it tests lower.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.